Sometimes if you have an instrument that's been sitting around for many years, like this dusty old bass here, then you can have the neck get so warped that it's going to need more than one truss rod adjustment. So today I'm going to show you how you can tackle that in some very easy to follow steps. I'm Dave with Stringing It Together, and let's dive in. So the first thing you want to do is tune it up to standard, and that'll give you a realistic assessment of how curved the neck is and where you want it to be. And then you can assess the neck. Now there's a few different ways that you can do this. You can get really fancy with a thing called the notch straight edge. I've made a video that shows you how to make one with some basic stuff, which you can check out after this. But when I'm doing a truss rod adjustment, typically I'm just going to use either my eyes looking down the neck or a technique which I'll change my camera for and show you. So the first way is just closing one eye and looking down the neck. So you want to make sure that you're holding your bass or guitar perpendicular to the ground. That way gravity's not affecting the neck. And then you're going to look down this top edge here. Just the edge, and that'll give you a realistic assessment of how curved the neck is. It should be pretty easy to see, maybe hard to see on camera. Here's method number 2 to assess your neck. Now this is also better to do perpendicular to the ground, but since I'm going to show you this way with my camera, I'm just sliding this until it starts to get friction and then stop. That way it's not putting much upward pressure. There's still gravity affecting it, but for demonstration purposes it's fine. So you're going to put one finger on the first fret, and then you're going to put another finger on the fret where it joins the body. Okay? Now it might be hard to see on the camera, but if I move the string, you can see how big that gap is. So now we're going to hop on over. I'll show you how to adjust the truss rod. So all you really need to adjust your truss rod is an Allen key, and it doesn't have to be the exact one that you got with your instrument, but you have to make sure that it fits. So sometimes it can be close but not quite perfect because it might be imperial versus metric. So you can test a few different ones and see which one fits. It has to be a perfect fit because you don't want to strip this. If you do strip it, the only way to fix it is to take off the actual fingerboard. So important consideration. Some of them, sometimes you're going to have to take off the strings, loosen them off like I have here, and then find the hole. Sometimes you have to wiggle it to get in there. Make sure it's a tight fit. Okay, I'll go there. So again, feel it around, make sure it's a tight fit so there's no wiggle in there. And I have a video that explains how a truss rod actually works. If you want to understand more, I'll just keep this practical. But really, you just have to keep in mind that it's going to be a right turn, and you don't want to turn it more than a quarter. So what I mean by a quarter is like a quarter turn of the clock. So when you turn it to the right, righty-tighty, then it's going to straighten the neck out from a bow. Okay? Okay, and well, this one seems to be giving me a little bit of trouble. It doesn't seem to want to turn. So you don't want to force it, because sometimes what that can mean is that it's actually turned as far as it will go. So it's on a thread there, and sometimes that's a nut on a thread, and sometimes that nut can be as far back as it can possibly go. So I don't want to force it. This might actually be as far as it'll go. Let me just turn it backwards a little bit. You also don't want to force it backwards because some truss rods only go one way, but if you just give it a gentle push just to see if it'll go. Okay, and that will turn backwards. Let me try it again. You can kind of feel it. Okay, so yeah, I guess this truss rod is as far as it'll go. So in this case, wasn't expecting that, but I'm going to take off all the strings and let this sit. So I let it sit for a day with the strings off, and that did make maybe a slight bit of a difference there. But I think the issue that I'm noticing here is this shouldn't be on an angle. This should be straight. So I'm not sure what exactly is going on there. So I'm going to unwind the strings and take this neck off. So this neck is obviously on a bit of a weird angle, so I'm just going to take it right off and see what's going on. You want to hold the end of the screwdriver like that so you don't damage your paint. Okay, well, I guess that explains that, because it looks like somebody's done a little repair job on here, trying to gouge that out for some reason. So yeah, I guess that explains it. Yeah, maybe. So let me think here. I think what I'm going to do is put a little something to shim that back up to level with this. I might have to go in there and level that out, but I think I'm just going to try a quick fix here. obviously you want this to be flat. So I'm just going to stick a few pieces of thick paper in there. Just get the size here. So that brought it down quite a bit, just adjusting the angle. So now it's within the range of normal there, about 5/32 at the 12th fret. But as you can see, there's still a pretty big bow in there. And since that truss rod is as far as it'll go, I think what I'm going to actually do with this is take the strings right off and just let the truss rod do its work for a little bit. So leaving the strings off will allow the truss rod to do its thing by pushing the wood this way. It's been a lot of years probably being pulled this way, and now you just got to give it a little bit of time with the strings off and with the angle fixed, and then it'll prevent it from going further. And once you're at that point, if you want to go lower and get a really nice playability and feel on your fingerboard without buzzing frets, then you're going to need to learn how to level your frets. And that can be a little bit daunting if you've never done it before, but I've got a free course that you can download. Just go to the description below, put in your email, and it's yours. It's called Foolproof Fretwork, and that'll teach you how to level, crown, and polish your frets. You fix fret buzz forever. It's my gift to you. That's all for this week. I'll see you next week.